My name is Johann Mika. I'm from the ORS, and today here in my role as 5G-MAG reference tools task force leader. But before I explain the 5G-MAG reference tools, I would give you in a nutshell an overview what 5G Media Action Group is about, that you get a bit an idea about it. So 5G Media Action Group, the idea is here to have a cross-industry association. So industries, media and ICT coming together, helping the media industry getting a foot in the door in the development of next generation global media technologies. And obviously we see 5G as a key opportunity for verticals, especially the media industry, to engage. And it's not only about distribution for the 5G Media Action Group, but it's the whole end-to-end chain. So it's production, contribution, distribution, and consumptions. And there are different areas where 5G Media Action Group is working on. So on one side, we have the commercial aspects and the ecosystem. So it's about new services and applications, commercial requirements, deployment models, and the whole value chain and the commercial role models. We have technology and standards. So it's not only the post-standardization activities, which we will talk about in a few minutes, but also pre-standardization activities. This includes also technical requirements, architectures, network features, APIs, and standards. There is the regulation and policy group. It deals with the regulatory framework of the 5G media ecosystem, the spectrum deployment options, and all the media-related aspects. And last but not least, and the most important part for myself, is the implementation, demonstration, and trials area. So the approach is a learning by doing. We want to have an information exchange on demonstrations and trials and the 5G-MAG reference tools development program. So what is the 5G-MAG reference tools about? So it's a development of common open source reference tools. So the idea is to support the implementation and the interoperability of 5G media technologies. It's also about the validation and verification of 5G standards, architectures, network features, APIs, and so on. We are using it currently for demonstrations, trials, and it's also the idea to have even commercial services here somehow. And the main topics are about the open community, the reference implementations, the direct link to standardization, and an IPR-friendly license model. And I will come to all of that in a minute. So 5G-MAG reference tools is a very, let's say, young project, maybe compared to the others. So it was kicked off last year in summer 21, but it's already a steadily growing community. So in our Google group, we have 68 members at the moment. We have 29 members on the Slack channel. And the most important entry points are let's say, general entry point on the 5G-MAG homepage, where you get some general information on what's about it. And for developers, the entry point obviously on GitHub. So there you will find all the code issues, documentation, architectures. Yeah, it's your step into that on the GitHub page. How are we organized? So the project is sponsored by the 5G Media Action Group. The participation is open to the community. That means you don't have to be a 5G-MAG member to be part of it. So there is an internal 5G-MAG task force. It's under the work group Content Distribution Technology. And the idea is here in this task force to define roadmaps, functionalities from the 5G Media Action Group work items, do somehow an implementation prioritization. There are discussions about the architecture. And also we're trying here to answer questions from the developers. There's also the external part, and this is the open part to the 5G Media Action Group developer community. So here we have all the users, developers, the contributors, and here are the discussions about implementations of features, issue trackings, and so on. And I think the most important part here is that there is always a direct exchange between the standardization leaders, which are also in the 5G Media Action Group, but all the 3GPP spec leaders related to media, so it's possible to have questions to them and so on, and the software developers and the users on the other side. From the organization point of view, there is the internal task force meets weekly if needed. It's for the 5G-MAG members. I said already, it's for use case discussion, architectures, roadmap, and prioritization, and there is the 5G-MAG developers call. Anybody can join here, and it's every 3 weeks. And here we have then the exchange among developers, issues, and so on. There's also the question who can contribute to it. So from the license model perspective, so there is the 5G Media Action Group public license, version 1. It's basically a modified version of the Apache license, and it allows the contributors to make the patent license available to third parties under FRAND conditions. But in general, 5G-MAG reference tools code is free for studying, testing, and research purposes. So we have 4 different repositories at the moment: the Fluid encoding decoding library, the MBMS client, the web user interface, and example projects, which are under this 5G-MAG public license. We are also using other licenses for libraries from third parties. For example, the MBMS modem, which is based on the SRS-1, and this is under the AGPL version 3 license. Everybody can use the 5G-MAG reference tools, but if you want to contribute as a developer, you have to sign the contributor license agreement. So the idea is here to clarify the intellectual property license granted with contributions from any person or entity. It has to be signed by every contributor, and it's for your protection as a contributor, as well as protection of 5G-MAG and its users. And it's also not changing your rights to use your own contributions for any other purpose. Currently, we have 7 official contributors. So Bitstamp, Eurofins, Fraunhofer, ID-Todo, ORS Group, and University Polytechnica de Valencia, and our newest member, which is Qualcomm, or contributor. To give you an overview of what's being implemented, so from a broad perspective, we are focusing on the whole ecosystem, which is rated between 5G and media somehow. So as you can see here, we have here the content application providers, we have content packagers, service layers, CDNs, IP unicast, multicast, 5G media streaming. We have 5G core and 5G run elements here. We have the 5G broadcast chain. And from the user equipment side, we are here in the 5G media streaming client and 5G broadcast modem and client here, and the applications which are sitting on top of them. So this is the broader focus, let's say. And currently, we are focusing on 3GPP release 16 media streaming, which are sitting here and here, and the LTE-based 5G terrestrial broadcast. So these are the main parts of the current development. What have we achieved so far? So we have, from the feature perspective, we have the 5G broadcast modem. There's also a 5G broadcast transmitter, which is at the moment kind of a proof of concept, but under development. We have an MBMS client, and we have 3 different use cases so far. So we have, first of all, the RTP playback over 5G broadcast reception, then HLS playback over 5G broadcast reception, and also the seamless switching between broadcast and broadband. So this means you can seamless switch between, for example, an HLS stream sitting on a content delivery network and 5G broadcast reception, and the client, so the media player, does not recognize this. So this is handled by the layer below. If you're interested in that, I think the presentations will be distributed soon, so you can then click here, have a look on our YouTube video, where seamless switching is explained by one of our developers, as well as the open source transmitter, which is very well explained by Jaime from the University of Valencia. And last but not least, to mention that we are also doing some fun. So we had our first on-site workshop this year in February, where developers were sitting together, not only for coding, but also having a beer together, which was really nice. What's next, or what's on our roadmap? So from the feature perspective, we are currently implementing kind of 5G media streaming. So the focus here is the media session handler. Then there's also the media player, where is kind of a question mark, because so it's a very good opportunity today to speak together, because from the media player, we are currently using Dash.js player. And we identified there are some interfaces, and the question is that something we should do, or is it something, for example, a Dash Industrial Forum reference tools can do? So this is something for a discussion later on. I think also Android support is, we are very interested in that. And from the use case perspective, we have broadcast on demand, where we want to provision a 5G broadcast service based on consumption reports, which you get from specific areas using the 5G media streaming consumption metrics reporting tools. Last but not least, to mention that all this roadmap and features is defined not only by us, but only by you. So all the developers and 5G-MAG members are invited to raise their interests, and then we will see it hopefully soon. And this is also my last slide and my call. If you're interested in participating to the 5G Media Action Group reference tools, you can always reach out the coordinators, so Daniel and myself, or reach out via the communication channels, the Google group, Slack channel, or have a look on our code on the GitHub projects, our YouTube, and our blog on the 5G Media Action Group homepage. That's it from my side.